Much better. Well, hello, all you folks out there. I'd say pretty bad storm in New England right now, but it's pretty much the entire country. Just saw the last couple of minutes of the Pats game, and guess what? Things weren't much better in Denver either. So, yeah, this has gone from Blizzard of the Year to Extinction Event. But what the heck? I will help you while away the hours while we wait for the situation to improve. I call that the 2020s. In the event, we have a few people here already. Yay, a few people who are here. We got Rachel in the 208 says, hi. Uh, Yo, you person of great many words, you. Tug is here. He says, greetings. Oh, greetings, Gate. Rachel goes on to say, how are you today? So far, so good. I've endeavored not to leave the house. It's like crazy cold way out there. But thank you for asking, and so glad you could make it. Of course, Rachel and Tug. So far, you guys are the only two just as yet. By the way, oh, and Tug, did you find my anecdotal evidence plausible? Yes. Tug had an absolutely outstanding retrospect in one of my favorite Roger Corman sci-fi films that conquered the world, and it looks like a big onion with lobster claws and glow in the dark eyes. And uh it's enabled something I don't want. I'm just gonna say never show that to me again. Anyway, apparently Blaisdell was actually told make the thing look vegetable related, and if I remember my that's all, folks. If I recall my anecdotal stories correctly, they were trying to play on the vegetable oid premise behind Thing from Another World. There's one story where the mad scientist dude says that it's vegetable in nature, basically. Palfrey Gambit is here. Says hope the trivia isn't the Caesar of Larry Wincox. I'm sorry, the career. You jump when I was reading. Whenever it moves, I have to read the career of Larry Wilcox. No, no, it's actually going to be on Steve Root, getting to the root of the problem. But yeah, I'm going to continue with my character studies so long as you people find them entertaining. Texas sounded reasonable to me. Yeah, because let's face it, Think for Another World was a game changer. Zublix is here. He says hello, and hello to you too. You're probably the only part of the country that isn't getting blizzard conditions right now. What's the temp in your area, mi amigo? Christopher's here, by the way. He says hello, or he says good evening specifically. But oh, Chris, I gotta ask you. My wife actually asked me, and what is Doctor Who's real name? What is his given name? If I remember correctly, he has a given name, but it's never used because no one could pronounce it. But anyway, let me know either way if you know. You know, Snark Sass is here. She's speaking an emoji. Hello to you as well, by the way. Uh, and Gambit says the Stephen Root from the that NBC sitcom. News Radio. I can't remember. I think News Radio was NBC. Yes, yes. Barry's here says hello from Atlanta. And speaking of Barry, yes, tomorrow 8:30 Thrash Time is going to be the latest retro Palooza movies, music, and TV shows. Barry, I can't wait. I've been in something of a slump lately, and I think that's just what the doctor ordered. Emily's here says hey y'all, and let's just see what else we get going on here. Rachel said News Radio. Yes, yes. It was. Thank you for the confirmation. And Rachel was News Radio NBC. And Indy's here says there aren't any mad scientists in the Thing from the world. There's a bunch of cold ones, though. Yes, it was cold down there. Well, I'm talking about when I say mad scientist, he wasn't really a mad scientist, but he's one of those, he's so caught up in science that he ends up risking the safety of people. He's the one who has it stuck in his head that they have to communicate and they have to rapport. And they have to. It's sort of like Carol for Another Christmas, where it's like we must engage, we must talk, we must work through our differences, even though the alien basically just wants to use us as compost for its progeny. And I believe in at least one occasion in the movie, I haven't seen it in many years, but in at least one occasion, he actually thwarts the military's attempt to kill the alien. Remember, he gets his head smashed in when he goes, "You have to understand, I have no weapon," and bash. I always thought that guy looked a little like Robert Englund, but that's just me. And he says, "If I don't lose power, I'll be watching." Awesome. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. And yes, thank you, Rachel. I thought it was NBC, and Barry's like, yeah, 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 for me too. And Patty, pal free Gambit says Dave must be coming out of retirement for that Retropalooza. He's hardly on anymore. There have been, well, as he's been doing his Mondays, and he's been doing some other posts, but we've all been a little long in the tooth, and I have no specific reason as to why. But I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. Doug says, hot take indie, but the scientist in Thing from Another World wasn't entirely wrong. No, no, but there's right and wrong, and there's safety first. And Gary says, guess who's back? Yes, Gary, it had to be you. It had to be Gary. Christopher says, I am not sure, Bob, but he revealed his name in The Gunfighter. I did not know that. I did not know that. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. I was just thought it was like Spock, where we just couldn't pronounce it. A lot of people saying hello to one another. Super Blick says Dave has posted a lot of shorts. Yeah, he's been posting like his little bits about whatever happened to this or that or that or this, and he's been doing his Monday night posts. But we all want to do more than we've been doing. I'll give you that much. Indy says that doesn't make him mad. It makes him an idiot. And it's up there, Bob. They were on the North Pole. I was doing the whole it's crazy cold when I'm there from Laura Neru's and when I die, don't make me sing that song. It's so far out of my range. It's not even funny. But yes, geographically speaking, north is that away. That away. Way up here, we got a name. A different show tune, by the way. And I'm listening hi to Chris. Dennis here says, greetings from South Carolina. And well, he just jumped, but I believe he said it was 31 degrees. It warmed up to 31 degrees. Danny's still alive. Good. Rachel, Boise, Idaho. I'm gonna guess you're living in your own private Idaho. I drive my wife crazy, but I sing that song. I'll stop right there. She's actually laughing from the other room. She heard me say it. Safety first says Slim Goodbody. Well, well, well. Slim Goodbody, brave and true. I used to watch that with my kid brother when he was like 2. And it was also a film. No, that was Safety Last, the Harold Lloyd film. Gary says, Danny, have you ever heard of the boots on the ground? They were from Oklahoma, where the wind goes sweeping down the plane. My vlog is here. Hey, Sister Sarah, she's here and says, hit that and share and comment. Whatever she said, you do it, please. Please. Oh, and yeah, Christopher showed a picture. Is only 10 degrees in Rhode Island. Oh, Danny's giving links. Yeah, thank you. Give links to everybody. Lancelot links, secret chimp. And Tug says to Sarah, how the flock are ya? And Tug says 14 here, which is far warmer than it's been. Sarah says, so hopefully the fourth Dan for package. For a package from Dan. Hopefully from this. Hopefully. And Rachel says, I saw Slim Goodbody in person. He started on Captain. Yes, he did start on Captain Kangaroo. Yes, it was a vignette in Captain Kangaroo. That's what I was watching with my kid brother. Now that you mentioned, there was also a what would you call it? I guess a soap opera about toothbrushes that was on around that time too. Yes, it was a cartoon soap opera about toothbrushes. And Gary said 29 in my area. How much snow do you have, Emily? Good question. Good question. Emily says 29 here, but down to single digits tomorrow night. Yeah, it's going to get colder. Indy says it's 72 where I am at. I'm inside. My heart bleeds for you. And oh, bright and sunny in South California. My heart bleeds for you too, there, Sister Sarah. Thank you for the link, Dan. And Tug says that's a great link, Danny. Is it Lancelot Link? Secret chip. Emily says no snow, Kenneth, just sleet and freezing rain. That counts. Gambit says I can't breathe tonight for some reason. Gambit said he wore that odd bodysuit. Yes, the one that was anatomically correct. Didn't he do an episode of Archer too? But I think they actually got that gray schlub, the one who Pat interviewed, who sounded bizarrely apathetic about the whole thing. Anyway, I'm moving forward. That's ancient history with us. Bonanza. Gary said, I have plenty of snow. Rachel said, I would totally with Captain Kangaroo trivia. I could do Captain Kangaroo trivia. I loved Captain Kangaroo. I could do Captain Kangaroo trivia. But again, who's watched it in 50 years? Danny says it doesn't matter. The roads are ice and it's not getting above 35 this week. The roads are frozen till Wednesday. Oh, on Cape Cod, they're talking until next week. And not the one starting tomorrow, like next week. Emily says, Gary, we haven't had significant snow here in over 5 years. The Cape hasn't gotten a lot of snow either. Probably they say 2022 we had a good amount. I don't think it was too bad, but it's been years since we've had anything this bad. Palfrey says the actor's name was John Bernstein. Yes, but in Archer it was the guy from Shazam, Michael Gray. Michael Gray from Shazam played Slim Good. I'll come in again. He played a Slim Goodbody in the Archer segment. It was a parody of Fantastic Journey, Fantastic Voyage, where they go inside the person and it's a spoof, and they bring Michael Gray out dressed as Slim Goodbody to do the visuals because he had the bodysuit. Probably because they couldn't get John Bernstein. He may have retired. Danny likes Captain Kangaroo too. Tub is here. Turtle Eugene Bellinger says, Happy snow day, Thrash, and to you as well. Danny says, Mr. Green Jeans grew weed on the red barn on. Really? Really? Let's just see here. Indy says, "Let us know which week you're doing Captain Kangaroo trivia, so I can plan my vacation." Yeah, I'd love to. I might find a fun fact or two about Captain Kangaroo, but I don't know if I can do an entire show on him because, again, we haven't watched the show since we were little bits. Gary says the good captain was on Sonny and Cher and was friends with Dolly Parton. I believe that he also, if I remember correctly, he also did at least one episode of Donnie Marie. I think he did a couple, but at least he did one episode of Donnie Marie, if I remember correctly. Tug says Godzilla's offering a great deal. Usually, you have to pay for Ambrose beers. I get it. Although, you guys want to hear something creepy? I was talking about Ambrose beers, because it was like a running joke for the last couple of weeks. Today, I turned on my computer, and in that's rolling suggestion box, the Ambrose Beers library popped up. I'm like, yeah, algorithm, stop watching me. Teb says, Thresh, would you please consider doing a special Sesame Street themed trivia in a future live stream? I will. I will consider doing that. And it would be fun. Yes, Emily. And Rachel says, I used to think Mr. Green Jeans was named Mr. Cream Cheese. LOL. That's actually funny. If I remember correctly, and I forgot, but I used to have. There was some. He was actually really badass. I forget what he did that was really cool. He did something that was very, very, very badass. And Gambit says, I liked Sesame Street before that teen girl became the main character. Her name was Allison something, I think. I tuned out way before that. I stopped watching in the 70s. Texas Mr. Cream Cheese sounds better, Rachel. It certainly does. Allison Bartlett. Well, it was a good pair. And a pair isn't a good pairing between Sesame Street and the actress, not anything sordid or dirty old man like. So get your minds out of the gutter, people. Really, you should be ashamed of yourself. Naughty, naughty. No biscotti. Gary says, who was the person who was the dancing bear? Michael Keaton. Anecdotally, it was Michael Keaton. Rachel says, Palfrey, do you mean Gina? He could. He could. It was way after I stopped watching it. Tim says, Gina, the actress who played her, what it was, Allison Bartlett. Cindy D is here. Oh my God, Cindy D, where you been, girlfriend? So good to see you. She says, "Lol, so glad you could make it, my lady." And Rachel says, "I would win Sesame Street too." LOL. Um, you might. I'll try not to go too crazy with the trivia. Um, something that all us '70s kids would have remembered. Tug, yeah. Art isn't Bartlett a type of pear? Hun, isn't Bartlett a pear? All right, yeah, it's a type of pear, Bartlett pear. But I thank you for making me second guess myself. Wait, is it a peach or a pear? And a lock of your hair, and there we go with the creepy stuff again. Stop it. Anyway, Gambit says Northern Calloway was on obsessed with Allison Bartlett in relation to Cab Calloway. And Gary says the Michael Keaton Batman. Yes. Yes. Michael Keaton was one of those actors where he had been working for years before he was anything people would have recognized him in. He actually had a show with um uh James Belushi in like 1979, 1980 called Working Stiffs or something, and pause. Chris says, I heard PBS and MTV were going off the air. Mm, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. The end of an roar. Cindy says, thank you, Thrash. My glad I'm here. I remembered you, and we remember you and have been waiting for you to return. So glad you could make it. And Gambit says, Bosk D'Angelo. D'Anjou. Bosk D'Anjou. Yes, and a Bosk D'Anjou to you too, by the way. Cindy says hello to Kenneth, not surprised. Let me saying hello to Cindy D. Indy says, I don't know who that Bartlett is, but he sure said a lot of famous stuff. That's the Bard, actually. Gambit says, let's not talk about Batman Returns. Keaton gets about 5 minutes screen time. Emily says, Chris MTV bid fair adieu last week. And Gary says TMC has disappeared. All the nostalgia stuff is going away except for me. I am the last stand. I am the repository. Tug says he was asked in an interview if he was the dancing bear, and his answer was, we're all the dancing bear. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is such a Michael Keaton thing to say. And a lot of people sing a little one another. So he says, oh no, I love TMC to Gary Carpenter. Lance is here. Says, I'm late. Lance, no trouble, my brother. You are right on time. And he says, I'm still upset that the Dumont network went off the air. And Emily says streaming killed the video. Streaming killed the video star. In my mind or in my car. We can't rewind. We've gone too far. Sorry. Tug says MTV still exists. It was just the European market that shut off. Then again, MTV died about 30 years ago. Anyway, too true. Too true. So, let's see. Hey, you know what? Since I'm caught up, rarely, how about we do the trivia now? Because they're not predicting power outages on Cape Cod, but just in case. And oh, hang on, a few more messages came in. Danny said all. I'm sorry. Apparently, all that white crap here is sleet, according to the news. I believe it. Emily says, I believe the Bugaloos video was their farewell video. Oh, touching. That touching. Indy says, before you ask, you better run by Pat Benatar. You better run. You better hide. Or Invincible. I was watching the Invincible video the other day. I have to see The Legend of Billie Jean again. I have. Actually, you know what? It's more relevant now than it was. No, 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 no. Just watch the Billie Jean video. And not the Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. Not that I'm not big into MJ. Watch the Legend of Billie Jean. Boy, that was all over the place. Like my thoughts. Oh, Gambit says Gene Stapleton and Carol O'Connor. City says MTV killed off the market that made it famous. Gen X, it certainly did. And Emily loves Carol O'Connor, who doesn't. And Tug says that that music video was directed by the same guy who directed Highlander. I believe it. And Cindy says, pass the duchy on the left hand side. Pass the duchy on the left hand side. And Rachel says, I watched Billie Jean again free on YouTube. No kidding. No kidding. And anyway, we're caught up. And yes, who doesn't love Gene Stapleton? I love the HBO play she did for Let Me Hear You Whisper, but that's another story. Anyway, tonight I'm going to do another one of my character studies. And for those of you who don't remember, a character study is a trivia game or retrospect which deals with a character actor. A lot of people do well known actors. I do ones that everyone has seen in one thing or another, but may not know them really well. This one is a bit more mainstream. It's Stephen Root, and he does have a lot of mainstream things he'd be associated with. But it was a request, and I'm always willing to stand by a request. So, without further, I'll do. And as always, I'm going to do them in no particular order. Number 10. Mr. Root had a small role in this Stephen King adaptation. Was it A, Stand By Me, B, Monkey Shines, C, Needful Things, or D, The Shawshank Redemption? Mr. White. At least his shorts are. There we go. I shall kill Godzilla. Call me Oxygen Destroyer. I shall repeat. Mr. Root had a small role in this Stephen King adaptation. Was it A, Stand By Me, B, Monkey Shines, C, Needful Things, or D, Shawshank Redemption? Or should I say Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption? I shouldn't, because that was the short story, not the film. Give me that film! Thank you. I believe I've stalled long enough. Cindy says, please do Alice Ghostly from Bewitched and Designing Women next. Thrash. That's a good one. That's you know what? I should. Sesame Street next, though, because Teb asked first. But Alice Ghostly is great. So yes, I will. And the correct answer is B, Monkey Shines. And he says to Emily, he played Milton and wanted his. Dude! You're going to give the game away. Number 9. Mr. Root did long running voice work on this Sunday night animated series. Was it A, The Simpsons, B, Futurama, C, King of the Hill, or D, The Cleveland Show? I shall repeat. Mr. Root did long running voice work on this Sunday night animated series. Was it A, The Simpsons, B, Futurama, C, King of the Hill, or D, The Cleveland Show? And if you know anything about the man, you'll definitely get this one. Cindy said, I didn't know him. LOL won't do good on this one. Sorry. Oh, you can't win them all. And so far, people are so far. Emily says, I just Googled him and he's been in maybe two things I've ever watched. Really? Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, the correct answer is C, King of the Hill. King of the Hill. And apparently I'm number 11 because I got two single fingers from Mrs. Thresh. Everyone say hi to Mrs. Thresh. Everyone say goodbye to Mrs. Thresh because she's going to go outside and try to have a cigarette in whiteout conditions. So good luck. Yeah. And that is as they say that. Oh, and Gambit says, you can't win them all, Buffalo Bills. Yeah. 4 years in a row. They lost four Super Bowls in a row. So help me God, I will never bet on the Bills again. They could go to the Super Bowl. The other team could forfeit, and I still wouldn't bet on the Bills. Do you understand? They could get to the Super Bowl unopposed. They could have a contest where who's the preferred team in Buffalo, New York, and I still wouldn't bet on the Bills. Even though I know it would be the Pats. Anybody watch the game today in Denver? I'm not a sports fan. I don't care. But I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Zublix says hello and goodbye to Mrs. T. Pons. That's the spirit. A lot of people saying hello and goodbye. She's got one of her really cute hats on, too, by the way. And Cindy says, I know the Dallas Cowboys. Remember how, when we were kids, back in the mid 70s, remember how popular they were? It's like, probably because of their cheerleaders, but I digress. Tug says, hello, Mrs. Thresh. Good luck. Yeah. Oh, she says, thank you. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Merry Christmas. Anyway. Number 8. Mr. Root played this being in the Star Trek universe. Was it A, Q, AQ, B, a Ferengi, C, a Romulan, or D, a Klingon? Quick, everybody look what Danny answers. Emily says California. I'm sorry, Carolina made the playoffs, but at 8 to 9, they weren't ready. Too true, too true. I shall repeat. Mr. Root played this being in the Star Trek universe. Was it A, a Q, B, a Ferengi, C, a Romulan, or D, a Klingon? And again, everybody look at Denny's answers. Although Denny almost never plays, so even when he knows the answer, I don't think we'll get the answer out of him. But give it another minute because the answers are still kind of waddling in, like a penguin, like a North Pole penguin. It could have escaped from a zoo, I suppose. The correct answer is D, a Klingon. I used another name, but yes, Klingon. Number 7. Mr. Root is currently married to this occasional co-star and Glee alum. Is it A, Gwyneth Paltrow, B, Kristen Chenoweth, C, Remy Rosemont, or D, Jennifer Aspin? I shall repeat. Mr. Root is married to this occasional co-star and Glee alum. Is it A, Gwyneth Paltrow, B, Kirsten, I always get her name wrong, I'm sorry, Chenoweth, C, Remy Rosemont, or D, Jennifer Aspin? There we go again. Looking better than a body has a right to, and shaking me up so. And all I really know is I'm going to get a copyright strike. Tug says I only know one of those people, and I know she is not a Glee alum. They were all in the IMBD. Really? Well, I won't give you the suspenders then. It's C. Remy Rosemont. And I'm sorry. I am very sorry. Romy Rosemont. I can't read my own handwriting. It was an O, but I didn't quite close it, so it looked like an E. Romy Rosemont. I'm sorry. I didn't actually know that one until today, and I thought it was a cute one. I never watched Glee, so I only knew she was on it because she was supposed to star with him in something. And because of a a Klondike. What would you do for a Klondike bar? Because of a scheduling conflict with Glee, she had to pass. So that's why I do that one. Anyway, number 6, and then we'll get our scores such as they are. Oh, Emily says, "Hey Wedge, I'm not playing tonight, so you can't copy off me." And so he says, "Hello, Salvador Dali's birthday was yesterday, I believe." And Mrs. Thrash kept mentioning him because she was on my Facebook. Emily, she thinks you're great, by the way. Again, I mean, she did before, but she loves some of your most recent posts. I do too. But anyway, they kept talking about Salvador Dali. And I would go, "Well, hello, Dali. Yes, hello, Dali." And hilarity ensued. Ah, she's back. She lives. Um, but I was going somewhere with this. Emily says, "Wedge, if you've ever heard of Stephen Root, you'll be fine." Oh, Wedge Bean's here. Wedge Bean. He's like, "LOL, sounds like a good idea, Emily." Emily says, "Mine was last Sunday. I just don't have it in. I just don't have it on my Facebook anymore." Oh, I don't know what it was that you don't have, but I'll take your word for it. Anyway, number 6, and then we'll get scores such as they are. Milton Wadhams I'll come in again. Milton Wadhams was obsessed with being deprived of what common office item? Was it A, a laptop, B, a chair, C, a stapler, or D, a coffee mug? And I'll come in again. Milton Wadhams was obsessed with being deprived of what common office item? Was it A, a stapler? Was it A, a laptop, B, a chair, C, a stapler, or D, a coffee mug? And yes, I'll get my stapler. I'm going to burn the building on the ground. Yes. Even people who haven't seen Office Space knows that one. Get my stapler. And Tug says everyone knew that one before. Yeah. Not to mention Indy spoiled it earlier. And Emily says, "Okay, I kind of cheated on that one." How could you possibly have cheated on that one? It's part of the collective unconscious. And he says, I'll burn this trivia to the ground." And Rachel said, "I love the original cartoon." Careful, careful. There might just be another question in here. And Given says, "What 3 books did George bring with him back from Brack to 800 and 2,701 AD in the end of the time machine?" You know, my best friend, when he was at UMass, he took a sci-fi literature course. Big surprise there. And that was actually asked by the professor, "What 3 books would you take?" And I've actually given that matter an incredible amount of thought, possibly more than it deserves. But what I came up with, I would take one on herbal medicine, one on metallurgy, and one on uh, engineering, but basic engineering, like not something like to build like steel and glass towers, but like ways to design barns and farmhouses and more like pre-industrial era um, devices. But those are the three books that I would take. What is your counsel? And if anyone else wants to answer that question too, that's a great question. Thank you. I've always loved that. It's one of the most provocative, cool endings of films that really does kind of make you think. Oh, Emily has never seen Office Space, and Cindy only remembers Gary Cole, and Emily says I was saying my birthday was last Sunday, but I don't have it on my Facebook anymore. Nobody gets a notification. And I'm sorry I missed it, but if I do remember correctly, Emily, you said all the birthday wishes became a little much for you, and they became distressing. So I probably wouldn't have done the Facebook birthday wish had I seen it. But what I will say is, I will offer you a belated birthday because I did care about your birthday, but I did not want to cause you undue distress. And Zuplex is 1 out of 5. Yeah, let's get some scores, such as they are. And Gary says, Emily, mine is in 2 months. A lot of people saying hi to Zuper. Tug says, it was a dictionary, a book on plants, and the third book I don't remember. Dictionary would be cool, but again, there'd be so much language divergence, which they never touch upon, that I would skip a dictionary. Again, herbal medicine, basic metallurgy, and some type of engineering book. Gary's 3 out of 5. Indies, I'm pretty sure those three books aren't named in the movie. No, they're not. It's not. It's left open. That's why the buddy of mine in the class, the teacher says the assignment after you saw the movie was what three books would you bring? And they're not listed. That's what what is the guy's name? He was a very famous actor in his own right too, been in a bunch of stuff. What books would you bring if you were going back to start a society? Um Gibbon says yes, purposely they were purposely skipped, and Tug is 4 to 5. And Gary says, me and Kim Novak share the birthday. Oh, that's sweet. Cindy is 2 for 5 without three. And Rachel is 5 for 5. Rachel is the undisputed champion so far. And it was like, I just feel like if you know me well enough to remember my birthday, you don't need a Facebook reminder. 3 of my 4 kids wished me a happy birthday, and that was it. Well, again, I am sorry. But again, I remember you were distressed because remember last year a bunch of people. I even mentioned you were like, oh, there were too many. I got so I didn't want to cause you, but certainly happy birthday. And I must confess, I don't commit them to memory because my short term memory is carbuncle. My long-term memory is okay. It's okay on a good day, but my short-term memory is and Tux says my internet is being really laggy all of a sudden. Sorry, lad. And Emily says, y'all know way too many people to remember everybody's. Thank you for letting me off the hook. And Tux says, I'm lucky if I remember my own birthday. Oh, by the way, my birthday is not my birthday on Facebook. I did that as a joke because it's pawns backwards. It's a whole code thing that I did because my beautiful mind was on top of things that day. I also didn't want to put my personal information online. It's asking for trouble. And he says, luckily, birthdays are irrelevant after the age of 21 anyway. 22. My favorite birthday was 22 because I was a year up on all the 21-year-olds who thought they were hot shit. And a lot of people saying hello, happy birthday to Emily. And Emily says, Eric, I've had mine for 58 years, so now I just remember of habit. And John Wayne died on my grandmother's birthday, June 11th. Wow. And Dribble says, I hope that wasn't a slight, but I did wish you a happy birthday last week after you mentioned it. Oh, I'm sure it wasn't a slight, Zoop. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure she just didn't. Oh, and Cindy's 59 in February. I'll be 59 in August. I won't tell you which one though. So anyway, last half of the trivia, and then we can get back to more science fiction questions. Number 5. The early template for the character Milton's first appearance was on this cop, cop pop culture phenomenon. Pop culture. Was it A, Liquid Television, B, Night Flight, C, Mad TV, or D, TV Funhouse? I shall repeat. The early template for the character of Milton's first appearance was on this pop culture phenomenon. Was it A, Liquid Television, B, Night Flight, C, Mad TV, or D, TV Funhouse? Give it another minute. You all seem to have the proper one here. No, while Mad TV did a lot of experimental animation and stuff when it first started out. No, good guess though. And Cindy, I love Night Flight too. Apparently, there's a streaming service where you can watch all the episodes from 1981 to 1988. Um, Rachel says, I answered twice, LOL. Give yourself 2 points. And Emily says, Cindy, I honestly thought you were younger than me. I think everybody is younger than me. We're all pretty close. We're all pretty close to the same age. The correct answer is Liquid Television. Back when MTV was good and actually had some type of connection to the cultural mores of the time. Don't know what happened. I mean, MTV was never, the standard. But again, in the early '90s, it was really trying to be something. What could have been? Number 4. It was theorized that Jimmy Jones was actually this famous criminal. And just to level the field, Jimmy Jones was the character he played on news radio, mentioned earlier. Was it A, Jim Jones, B, Jimmy Hoffa, C, the Zodiac Killer, or D, DB Cooper? I shall repeat. It was theorized that Jimmy Jones was actually this famous criminal. Was it A, Jim Jones, B, Jimmy Hoffa, C, the Zodiac Killer, or D, DB Cooper? I said Jimmy. Yes, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I meant Jimmy James. I'm sorry. I was writing Jim Jones yes, Jimmy James. I'm very sorry. Brogo's here. Hello, Brogo. Welcome to the party, such as it is. You were just in time to see Indy correct me. And actually, Indy, thank you for that because it is Jimmy Jones. Jimmy James. Jimmy, yes, we all know who it is. I told you that short term memory. And yes, the correct answer is DB Cooper, which I thought was hysterical. Number 3. In the highly tacky Seinfeld episode Invitations, Mr. Root played this. Was it A, paramedic, B, a bank manager, C, a cabbie, or D, a stationery store manager? Oh, look who's here, Kevin. Kevin. I had just finished watching the original Time Machine, such a classic. One of the best sci fi films of all time. It really is. It's really just a great, great film. It just really is. Let me repeat. Oh, and please give a link to Kevin. We're going to be working on a project on the Omega Man, which I have a lot of really fun facts for. And I will probably work in some type of bashing on Will Smith. Fresh Prince Will Smith, not post apocalyptic Will Smith. Anyway, number 3. In the highly tacky, you see what I did there? Seinfeld episode Invitations, Mr. Root plays this. Was it A, paramedic, B, a bank manager, C, a cabbie, or D, a stationery store manager? The whole show is trash. uh, Oh, Angela McCardle is here. Oh my God, Angela, thank you so much for showing up. So good to see you. Says, hi, guys. I'm a bit late, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, we were talking about classic science fiction, but I'm doing trivia on an unrelated matter, the career of Stephen Root. And then he says one of those fun facts about the history of the post apocalyptic Scott. I'm assuming you're referring to Will Smith, who did just several post-apocalyptic movies, not as many as Charlton Heston. Emily says, "What was so bad about that episode? I've never watched Seinfeld. What I say, it's tacky because his fiance was forced to buy cheap invitations because they were cheap, and while she was licking them in order to seal them, there was some chemical in it that she was allergic to. So because it was sticky, because it was tacky, um, she was lost. It's a very sick joke. I'm sorry, Emily. Gibbon says, I think the doctor in the time machine was upset because George wasted his cigar. Yes, he breaks it in order to put it into the miniature. Why would you build a miniature time machine and then just send it off into time? So he says, I only watched it occasionally. Gary, I didn't get it. A lot of people saying hello to Angela. And Doug says, Woody Woodpecker was a toy dropped by a child during the war montage in the time machine. You're kidding! I never noticed that. Oh my gosh, that's a trivia question I would have used. Cindy says, My sister loved it. And Indy says to Tug, Did he find it in a tree during the Martian invasion? Ah, and Zipper says, Please provide us with the answer. The answer. Um, the answer was, wait, oh, bank manager. B, bank manager. He was the bank manager. There's a subplot where the bank is having a promotion. If they don't say hello to you when you walk in, you get $100. And when he walked in, the teller says, "Hey," to him, and Kramer thinks he should get $100, but they say, "No, you received a greeting." So it wasn't the word hello; it was an hello. And they decided to give him $20. He takes it. Sorry, Superplex. I know I get sidetracked sometimes. It's that short term memory of mine. My ADHD kicks in. If you don't think you have ADHD, you're just not paying attention. Apologies to anybody who does. I think I do. I'm only sure I did. Back when I was a kid, they called it hyperkinetic because of all the kinetic energy. And again, number two, I'm on the home stretch. It's almost over, people. It's almost over. Number two, in a recurring subplot of news radio, what was Jimmy James searching for? Was it A, his absentee father, B, his long lost son, C, a wife, or D, the heart of gold? Emily says, I'm at ADD, nothing hyper about me. Oh, mercy. I shall repeat. Bob has ADHD so bad he can't even drink concentrated orange juice. Thank you, Indy. I shall repeat, even though people seem to have the answer already. In a recurring subplot of news radio, what was Jimmy James searching for? A, his absentee dad, B, his long lost son, C, a wife, or D, the heart of gold? And yes, it is a wife. And finally, see, I told you it was almost over. Number one, Mr. Root had a supporting role in this black horror renaissance flick. Was it A, Get Out, B, Us, C, Nope, or D, Candyman? I shall repeat. Mr. Root had a supporting role in this black horror renaissance flick. Was it A, Get Out, B, Us, C, Nope, or D, Candyman? Emily says Eric, and it's probably just Gold Flake. Angela says I have no clue, but I'm going to say A or D. Ooh, running the gambit there. No, no pun, Palfrey. Well, if you said C, then it's nope. What? Nothing? I'm getting nothing for that. It's actually a Get Out. So yes, and let's get some scores, such as they are. Gambit says the Candyman can cause the Candyman cause he mixes it with love and takes the whole The Candyman makes everything he makes. Indy says he was also in a movie called Night of the Scarecrow, but not the one you're thinking of. I knew that and very good. Indy, very few people know me so well that they could list an obscure horror movie and point out that there's another movie that I really love with the same title. I doff my cap to thee. Yes, there was with oh god, what was his name? Charles Durning. Charles Durning was in The Night of the Scarecrow. That's the one that remember I saw it with my cousins when I was like 13 in my grandparents' basement when I was a kid. I still have to this day. Larry Devine. He was in it as well, but anyway, we got some scores here. Tim is 5 for 5 because he missed the first half. Close enough. Rachel is 9 for 10. Zublex is 3 out of 10. Tug is 7 of 10. Gary is 7 of 10. Angela is 2 for 10. She came in late. Play the rest in replay at leisure. Anthony says thinking alike, Palfrey Gambit. And Cindy is 4 for 10. I knew it would do. You did fine, Cindy. My tests are hard. And so we're caught up, but good scores, people. As long as you had fun. If you had fun, then it was all worthwhile. And Gambit says, how come Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion all trusted Dorothy when she said the wizard was going to give them stuff? Um, yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. The weird thing is, particularly the Scarecrow seemed to know who the wizard was already. I think they had all heard of the wizard, but for whatever reason, never went on the quest themselves. Dorothy was the catalyst. Dorothy was the one who convinced them, as they say in A Boy and His Dog, to get their hearts started and actually go. But of course, what they all learned was they all had what they needed already, or at least um, the solution was inside them, which is a crock. You guys know I want to do a post-apocalyptic version of The Wizard of Oz, where what happens is Dorothy and her guard dog have to flee the settlement they're living in when it's overrun. Uh, and she has to go to another settlement. I decided to use the Emerald City in Washington State for reasons that are all too obvious. And while she's on the way, she meets this very emaciated guy, in very shabby clothes, the Scarecrow. A guy who's gone completely feral, the Cowardly Lion, because of PTSD and whatnot, and a former cop, the Tin Man, who has long since run out of bullets, but arms himself with an axe. You see? You see what I did there? Yeah. I will never actually go ahead and write it. Maybe AI will help me, or the Great Oz, but either way. Um, I know I've talked about that before, by the way, but for those of you who aren't sick of answering me, tell me what you think. Cindy says they already had what they needed. They didn't need her. Valid. You know? Other than saving Toto, Dorothy has no function in the entire work. But they love her. They love her. Um, and Gambit says the Scarecrow lived on the outskirts of Munchkinland. That's probably where he heard it because the witches hung up by Munchkinland. And it was just Scarecrow may not have had a brain, but he was still smartest one of the four of them. Yes, well, that's actually the point. Um, Self-esteem issues brought on by abusive father. Don't know where I would come up with that theory. And he says 7 for 7 at the computer, 0 for 3 rounding up my dinner. It's lasagna, so we're all winners here. Well stated. Angela says overrun by zombies. No brigands. Motorcycle riding, um, uh, brigands, like something out of Dawn of the Dead, or since we're doing Wizard of Oz here, the flying monkey bikers in The Wiz. But yeah, post-apocalyptic brigands, those are always good. Tug says, but Toto was clearly the smartest of all. Zuplik says the lion would eat them all. Well, no, that was the thing. The lion had some kind of PTSD. He was terrified from something. So he talked a good game, but wasn't dangerous at all until he was trying to defend Dorothy. John is here. No, John Doe, a deer, a female deer. I'm not sure, but I believe I'm here. We will accept that. Kevin says, Thrash, have you ever seen a classic kaiju film called Konga? Oh yes, with the guy who played Alfred. Great actor, by the way. He started against Christopher Lee in a couple of things. Dr. Shrek's House of Horror pops into my mind. But yeah, Conga. That is such he's such a dirty old man in that. Oh my god, he's like so openly lascivious towards the girl who then gets eaten by the Venus flytrap, and it's a pity because she was hot. But yes, I've seen Conga. Just guessing you needed proof. Um, and Gary says, M the lion may have been a coward, but he was still brave. That's me to a T. Well, again, yes. And then he says, where are you, John? I'm there with you because I see you. Oh, very good. And Cindy says, she's sweet as candy, especially lying in those cancer causing poppies. Yeah, I know they used asbestos. And Zublik says the poppies before it was illegal. Another thing, by the way, they didn't want her to put on any weight. So she was living on chicken broth, black coffee, and are you sitting down? Cigarettes. Because at the time it was believed tobacco was an appetite suppressant. Cossacks. Emily says, I'm the Wicked Witch. I'm tired of everyone's And Tug says he mentioned the Wiz. Chris is going to bed. Night, Chris. Take care of yourself. And let's just see. Michael Go. Thank you. I knew someone would know. Michael Go. It's really stop and go here. See what I did there? Um, I think we just jumped, so give me a second. House of Dracula as well, by the way. Rachel says, I thought your trivia on Office Space cartoon was that it was created by Michael Judd of Beavis and Butthead, also Liquid TV. Well, yeah, that's its first appearance was actually on Liquid TV. But yeah, it was created by Michael Judd. Do you mean Conga Beat? No, that was actually in House of uh Vault of Horror. Vault of Horror. And Gambit says that skywriting must have cost the witch per letter. It wasn't much of a sentence. And Deb says, guess this classic TV show by its opposite title. Girl gets acquaintanced with planet. Girl gets acquaintanced. Boy meets world. And John Doe says Conga TNT, the sequel was not so good. I don't recall the sequel. And Zublik says the PTSD would only make the lion more unstable. Unstable, yes, but possibly still as cowardly. And Emily says, Gary, she was the only one truly Gen X. She was before her time. And Kevin says, I'm doing Conga next on my Kaiju connection. If you would like to join us. Oh, cool. What's the date? I'm guessing that's before Omega Man. Let me know the date. Send me some info on Facebook. Pretty please. But yeah, I'd like to do Conga. In fact, I saw it not too long ago. And Out of This World. Oh, is it out of this world? I still think it's Boy Meets World. And Angela says, I have wanted to write a zombie invasion, but I might take liberties with a few action 80s TV shows, but I wouldn't share it to the public. You know what? If I really thought I was going to write mine, I wouldn't have either. So, but anyway, if you do write it, let me know because I love a good zombie lore. And Tug says they're going for keeping you awake in the snow, though. And Gary says, T, I have the book on the movie. Which one? I'm a little lost. And speaking of movie, what three books would you people all bring? We never did get an answer to that. What three books would you bring if you were rebuilding a society? And Zibble says, no, T Pawns, poppies will make them king of the hill. Oh, I'm sorry, you jumped there. Make them sleep. Remember? Yes, 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 I do. No, I do. Yeah. And Tug says Mike Judge, also creator of King of the Hill, also King of the Hill. Yep, yep. And Cindy says, why did the Wiz do so bad for F? It was so good. I've never seen it. I can't buy Diana Ross as Dorothy. Um, I just like the music to it. It had a lot of great musical talent. Um, uh, no bad news. Will just get stuck in my head, like while I'm having my morning coffee. No bad news. Don't bring me no bad news. If you're gonna bring me something I can use. But don't bring me no bad news. No bad news. No bad. No, sorry. So yeah, it had a great soundtrack. Um, it was a great premise. It was missing something. I don't know. And Conga beat Gloria Estefan. Turn the beat around. Gary says Beavis and Butthead. I wouldn't even put it on the air. Ugh. And Rachel says to about yes, Mike Judd is very creative. He certainly is, and worked in an office for years, I believe. Oh, and yes, it was Boy Meets World. Thank you, Teb. And yes, that's what I meant. And Gary says, Cindy, there's another version with the Muppets. Really? I did not know that. I did not know that. Oh, Rachel needs to run. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. John Doe says, I can't send you the trailer Conga. TNT was made late 2000s, early 2010. I can send you the trailer. Please do. Please do. Thank you. And Gary says, Super Friends Swamp of the Living Doom. Oh, that sounds good. And Cindy says, really? I didn't know that Gary Carpenter and Graham J. Hello, Graham J. Welcome to the show. Graham J is here. Says, ever watched Dead Set 5-part UK TV zombie outbreak? I have no, I have not. I have not. I will definitely check it out. Pardon me, I'm parched. Thank you, Graham. I will have to check that out. And Rachel says, catch her in the rye. Would a bunny meet a bunny? And Emily says, science journals. And Zubrook says, lots of successful Broadway musicals flopped in the movies created. They certainly did. They certainly did, I'm afraid. And Gimmet says, wouldn't they have had to be around in 1899? Probably, probably. And Teb says, guess the classic TV show by its opposite title, Friendly Subjects. Um, Angry Beavers. I don't know. And Cindy says, true, Zuber. And Gary says, Cindy, yes, I forgot who plays Dorothy. She was black, yes. What? Narrows it down. And Angela says, my A-Team novels, I could read them without getting bored. And Cindy says, go thrash thing. You're too kind. And John Doe says, The Wizard of Oz was another schizophrenia diagnosed as a fantasy movie. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. And Cindy says Stephanie Mills played her on the stage. I did not know that. Gary's high fiving John Doe, and then he says at least one of those books better be an English primer. And Tug says, I got a jet. Good night. Hey, Tug, good night. Don't worry. We're probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon altogether. But thank you for joining us as long as you could. A lot of people saying good night. And he says, hold the door, Tug. Thanks for the trivia, Bub. You as well. You as well. Thank you very much for playing. And Gary says, my book is on the original movie and it's packed away. That would be cute. You know, they actually make a joke about that in the 2000 the Time Machine remake, where they mentioned the book by H.G. Wells and the movie by George Pell. I would bring the book Time Machine with me to the future in the hopes that it was as accurate. Mm. And Emily says, why indie folks around here graduated high school and still can't read or spell? That's why we have audiobooks. And spell check. And don't forget to like, thank you. And Teb says, the correct answer is, oh, Family Matters. Oh, okay, thank you. Family Matters. And Gambit says, angry beavers on that road. I'm going to head out. I know. The only thing that popped into my head, Gambit. It was all I could think of. But hey, Gambit, thank you. Thank you. Have a great night. Have a great night as well. Take care. Oh, Graham says Dead Set is on Tubi. Tubi or not Tubi. Graham, I'll have to check it out. Thank you so much. I have Tubi. Angela says Diana Ross played Dorothy in The Wiz. Yep, she sure did. Uh, Teb says good night, Thresh. Oh, he's bailing as well. Good night. Good night. So glad you could make it. Cindy says the Bible, the writings of William Shakespeare, and letter from Birmingham jail. Those are excellent choices. Those are excellent choices that would give a source of cultural imperative. So yes, I will give those a ringing endorsement. And Wajmin says, "Sorry, making dinner." Wajmin, I'm just glad you were here. You know, I know you haven't been able to be active that much, but you were here, and we appreciate that. Emily says, "Audiobooks and spell check ain't gonna be much good if we're rebuilding a society, presuming everything was destroyed." You raise a valid point. I said, "This society, the one in the future." Well, fortunately, I read okay. Of course, my biggest problem is if I lost my spectacles, it would be sort of a whole time enough at last situation. Wouldn't that be a shush? But you raise a very valid point. Oh, you're welcome, Cindy. And it says no religious text should be used to rebuild a moral society. Gary says 3 books for the future: Wizard of Oz. Oh, that's fun. War and Peace. That's culturally relevant. And the Adams Family drawings. Love it. Okay. John Doe says, the lion was her fear, the scarecrow was her uncertainty, the Tin Man was her anger, and Toto the dog, not the band, was her hope. That's what is represented. Oh! Oh, is that what Frank Baum said? I actually never knew that. I do know, and I don't remember this from when I was a kid. There's a whole segment in black and white where she's actually working with the farmhands, and each one sets them up. She falls into a pig pen, and um, the oh the guy playing the lion, it was Ray Bulger was the scarecrow. Jack Healy was the Tin Man, and Bert Lahr. And when she falls into a pig pen, Bert Lahr bails her out. Somebody has to think quickly on their feet, and Ray Bulger does works it out, and Jack Healy is nice. But I do like that. Very good, very good. Uh, oh, and Kaput is down. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And John Doe says the 3 books would be agricultural, medical, and architecture. Agriculture, that's good. That's good. But the only thing about that is you remember for whatever reason in the time machine the agriculture is doing fine. Now, whether that happened because of hybrids made when humans still knew what they were doing, or because the Morlocks actually were intervening with the plant growth, I don't know. But food seemed to be a non-issue. Vegetable matter. Meat seemed to be a scarcity, hence the Eloy. But you know what? But bring a book on agriculture, because again, if it's all being handled by the Morlocks, they're going to need to know what they're doing when they take over. So yes, I will accept your list as is. Oh, and Emily says they're good choices as well. Angela, thank you. Bert Lara, thank you. I was groping for it. And Denny says, I forgot about the red berries in King Kong versus Godzilla OMG. Oh, yeah, the berry juice. You know, which, that was the whole point of going to the island in the first place, was they were trying to get the red berries for the pharmaceutical company, remember? They were pharmaceutical reps that were sent there in the first place. Here it says, those red berries would put anyone to sleep. Yes, they would. And Wajamin says, hope you're doing better. As do I. And Angel says, thanks. And oh, he's watching now. Danny's watching now. And Ziplik says, good night, Angela, and get well soon. Yes, Angela, hope you feel better. Please, if you're still not feeling well. I wasn't sure if you were before and still are, or if it's a recent thing, but either way, I hope you feel better. I think I missed one of the chats. And Jundo says, I'm waiting for them to bring back the red bamboo in another Godzilla movie. Uh, red bamboo? You mean red berry? Well, red something or other. Red Sonja. The red weeds from War of the Worlds. Since we're talking uh HP Lovecraft. H.G. Wells. And then says Kong looks like the special ed version, LOL. Ed Graham says, have you watched much sci-fi horror fantasy from the UK TV? I've actually watched quite a bit of the vintage stuff. Doctor Who, obviously. Survivors, loved Survivors. Um, Used to have the entire first series on videotape. There was a second one with Brian Blessed as a villain, and I saw part of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing. What else? Sci-fi horror, BBC. Tripod. I fell in love with tripods when I was visiting my father. They never showed it up in my area, but when I was down south visiting my father, I caught tripods, and I went out and I bought the trilogy so I could read the books. Eventually, thinking that I was going to eventually one day find the series, and I wanted to like be caught up. Now realizing just how much the series diverged from the trilogy. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Michael Grade. He canceled it on a cliffhanger ending, so we never did find out what happened to the people of the White Mountains. Philistine. Mrs. Thrash is laughing at me. It was heartbreaking. Oh, be quiet, woman. And of course, he also killed Doctor Who, so that's a twofer. As far others, and I'm sure as soon as I close on it, I'm like, oh, then of course there's this and there's that, and you go with this and you go with that. But yes, oh, Space 1999, of course. Do you count all the marionettes like Thunderbirds Are Go and Captain Scarlet and that type of thing? Um, so yes is the short answer. Yes, I love me my BBC TV, particularly before it tried to act like American television when it still had heart. But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Uh, oh, Gary says Red Bamboo was on. Oh yes, yeah, the big lobster thing. I stand corrected. Sorry, I had forgotten that. And then he says, from England being human was the best, I think. And Jumbo says Red Bamboo was a bad group in Godzilla versus the sea monster. Ah, yes, aka Godzilla versus Hebra, the shrimp in Japanese. He's fighting a giant shrimp. And Ebra, I mean. And Cindy says, if we had to pick three authors, I would pick Stephen King, George Orwell, and Maya Angelou. I do love all of those people. I haven't read all of their stuff, but I think the people are great. Maya Angelou is great, yes. And George Orwell. All I read by George Orwell, and I bet you already know this, I've read 1984 and I read Animal Farm. And Stephen King, I mostly read his short stories. But for social commentary, All good stuff. Um, and was it Tales of the Unexpected? Graham, was that the 70s sort of horror anthology that was really big in the UK? Um, I love that because it had a lot of irony in it. It was like after the Twilight Zone, they kind of got away from the whole irony thing in horror. It became just like a scare fest. But I do remember I loved Tales. I want to say Tales of the Unexpected, but yes. And like I said, I'm sure I'll think of 5 or 6 more. But but yes, I could actually do a show on English science fiction TV. Maybe I should. Would you guys like to see a show on English science fiction TV? I'd like to do one. And Zubik says, "How did this descend into Godzilla trivia?" Yeah, we're just talking about King Kong and the sea monster. So it's not a retrospect on Godzilla. It's just those two movies. And Cindy says, "Oh, I already read that one." And John Doe says, No one really talks about Blake Seven. Do you know what the twist is for Blake Seven?" I don't. I The only thing I know about Blake Seven is what I read in science fiction magazines. It never played on any of my local TV affiliates. The PBS up here never carried it. WGBH in Boston was kind of uppity, and I guess the guy who read it didn't think science fiction was quality entertainment. So while other PBS stations around the country were showing English sci-fi, mine wasn't particularly. Oh my God! How could I have forgotten the TV adaptation of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I don't talk about the other one. I will talk about the radio, but not the other visual one. But no, I don't know the twist of Blake Seven. I'm sorry. And Gary Groom said, when the tripods came back, short documentary on YouTube. Really? I've never seen. I've never seen when the tripods came back. I just know that they because it's not in the book. I don't know if you've read the trilogy, but it ends completely differently. But for a while in the TV show, they joined some traveling circus or something as a cover. I don't know. And when they get back to sorry, I'm getting stuffy. When they get back to the White Mountains, um, spoiler alert, it's been wiped out by the tripods, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do now?" Oh, Day of the Triffids, not the recent TV adaptation of Day of the Triffids, but the one from like 1980, then 80, 81. Oh, and by the way, does Threads count? Threads scared the BG out of me when I was a kid. Holy cow. I know the day after is intense, and it was, but Threads was like really kablooey. Threads was crazy. John Doe says, if you want to know, I can tell you if you want the spoiler. Go ahead. Like at this point, I don't see it. Even if I do, I can see it ironically. So yes, please tell us the spoiler. And if you don't want to know the spoiler, don't look. And Gary says, my favorite four authors are Doyle, Christie, Tolkien, and Wells. I've read a little by Doyle. I've read more by Wells. I don't think I've read anything by Christie. And don't get mad at me. The only thing I've read by Tolkien is The Hobbit. That's the only one I've read. I've seen the movies, I've seen the animated adaptations, but I've only read The Hobbit. And yeah, great. What do you think of Threads, by the way? I believe I was talking about that when I was on something with Kevin, not too far back. But anywho, so yeah, so we get the spoiler, the Blake Seven. I know it's supposed to be like the Magnificent Seven. That's why there's 7 of them. But oh, here it is. Blake Seven. Oh, they're all dead, but you have to see the show on how. Oh, okay. I did not know that. I did not know that. Anywho, it's kind of getting towards that time. We do still have a few people in the chat, but a lot of us have bailed. I'm thinking about wrapping up. Is there any other things people would like to say about today? Any more suggestions for next week? Again, I'm kind of hinging on the English sci-fi for actually. Well, next week it's going to be Danny and Sarah and I, so it would actually be the week after that. But if you guys would like something like that, I'd love to put something together. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining. I had such a blast. I'm glad you guys actually showed up and had fun. Gary says, "Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are." And again, I just want to thank you guys. Benjamin says, "Sorry for not being here as much. I have a great week, everyone, and you as well. You as well." John Doe says, "Who's Ambrose Beers?" The sign behind you. Ambrose Beers was a writer. He is actually attributed as being one of the first American science fiction writers, and he disappeared mysteriously around the turn of the century. And a lot of people have speculated as to why. Cindy says, "Good night, a thrash and all." Grim says, "John Christopher, the tripods, oh, the death of grass." It's called No Blade of Grass in the States, but I have the movie and the book, and that is actually excellent. That's actually, you know what the great thing about English sci-fi is? A lot of times it's like a road movie, like No Blade of Grass. I'm sorry, Death of Grass, where the whole thing is the journey. I love that. I love that one. You know what, Graham? I think you've convinced me. But yeah, Death of Grass is excellent, excellent. And anyway, well, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I've had so much fun. I'm glad I didn't lose power and had to cut the day short. But anyway, you all take care. If you're in part of the country where it's snowing, take care. Be safe. If you're in other countries, Grim says I can recommend some good stuff for next time. Please do. Please do. While I'm saying goodnight, please feel free to cram it into the comments. And the Zuperblick says, "Thank you, T Pawns again." No, Zup, thank you so much for joining us. It's great having you here with us. And but again, if you're in other countries which are also experiencing extreme weather, my heart goes out to you. More sympathetic I could not be. Cindy says, "Snowed in." I'm getting that way. The good news is my company actually proactively closed tomorrow. Trash trucks don't run well in snow. And there's no point in having the call center open if you can't schedule anything. So, yeah, so I have the day off. A day off, gratis, but still a day off. And John Doe says, "Yep, in New York City is deep in with snow." Yeah, I heard you guys are getting pretty hammered as well. John, you take care of yourself. Excellent. And be safe. The problem, by the way, is that it's going to stay frozen. It's going to be so cold. It's not going to melt like most blizzards. It's going to stay blizzardy. But in any event, please, please, please come back and see us next Sunday. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing English science fiction. And again, Graham, feel free to put any suggestions in the comment box. If not in this one, go on to any one of my videos and just make some suggestions on the comments. I always get my comment notifications. And do just stay safe all. Yes, please do. But anyway, guys, until next week, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. And I hope to see all of you tomorrow on Dave's Chat. And until then, peace.